So it's been about a year since I blogged about my own story with drinking and how I thought I was drinking too much. You know, when I wrote that blog, I was really nervous about putting myself out there. At first, it started just sort of as a conversation piece and, here's what's going on. As I started writing it and started actually doing what I was writing, it really became something very personal. And it went really well. I was so grateful for all the conversations and empowered by all the conversations that were started because of that. People I know reached out to me and said, I've often wondered the same thing about myself. And people I don't know messaged me and said, I read your blog. It made me really glad that I put myself out there. But that was a year ago. And not that I'm taking credit for it, but mommies who drink is now kind of a hot topic that we're seeing in the media. Today's Parent just did a cover story about it. I've read recently articles on CNN, the New York Times, in the New York Post. And of course, there's no shortage of wine mom memes. #wine mom. Mommy drinks because you cry. It's not drinking alone if your kids are home. That's my favorite, etc., etc. So it being a hot topic, and a year after I took a look at my own habits, I thought wine mom would be a good conversation to have for my first Mabel's Labels vlog. So here we are in my living room surrounded by badly behaved pets to talk about wine mom. So first, a little background. A year ago, almost exactly a year, my husband decided to stop drinking. He woke up one day and decided he was drinking too much, so he quit cold turkey. That was it. No more. He was done. And he hasn't had a drink in over a year. I thought about doing the same thing for about 5 minutes. And then I decided that I didn't think I was there, that I needed to do that, and I wasn't really ready to do that. So I thought, let's start by taking a good look at my habits. And what I found was, first of all, I was consuming a lot more alcohol than I ever thought I was. But the bigger problem for me, the bigger issue for me became the way I was normalizing and even trivializing alcohol consumption in front of my kids. And what I mean by that is we would make jokes about mommy's wine. We would make jokes like, what happens when somebody spills mommy's wine? Mommy gets mad. Or what happens when mommy doesn't have any wine? Mommy gets mad. And I thought being known as someone who loves her wine was okay. It was just part of my personality. I created my blog, Wine and Smarties. I named my Twitter and Instagram handles Wine and Smarties because I wanted something that would talk to both elements of my personality. I love wine, but I'm also a mom who's literally drowning in Smarties some days. Being a mom who enjoys a glass of wine or two feels a little bit like giving the middle finger to old school expectations of what people think a mom should be. It's about looking around and saying, wow, my life is really different now. I used to have a full-time career. I used to have a great paycheck and lots of freedom, and I don't have those things now, and I don't regret any of it. I love my kids. I want to still have a connection to that person I used to be. I want to still be able to enjoy the things I used to enjoy, and wine is one of them. People will say the problem with wine mom culture is that we're creating a message that, alcohol is essential to surviving parenting. And for me, it's not like that. I don't need wine to survive parenting in the long term. We certainly have our difficult days, but my kids aren't literally driving me to drink. I'm not qualified to offer an opinion on what constitutes problem drinking. I'm not qualified to tell anyone whether or not they have a problem or if they should be concerned. Of course, if you do, please see your doctor or talk to an addiction specialist. But what I can say, what the problem for me was the message I was sending. Again, the normalizing, minimizing, trivializing of alcohol consumption in front of my kids. I'm a 44-year-old woman who knows the risks of problem drinking. My kids don't. They're 7 and 10. They don't know what kind of poor decisions can be made under the influence of alcohol. They don't know the dangers of getting too drunk and passing out at a party. They don't know about addiction. They don't know about, God forbid, drinking and driving. So that was my aha moment, my, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What message am I sending? I'm doing this thing all wrong moment when I saw drinking through my kids' eyes. So my key takeaway is this. Do what feels right for you, but pay attention to the messages you're sending to your kids. I'm a parenting blogger. I'm not a parenting expert. I try to write with the tone of, here's what worked for me. Why don't you try it? Good luck. And, let's all help and support each other and not judge each other. So this is not about telling you, you really shouldn't drink in front of your kids, because that would make me a hypocrite. I have a glass of wine in front of my kids all the time. But what's different now is I'm more conscious of the messages that I'm sending, of when I'm drinking that wine, how much I'm drinking, and what I'm saying about it to my kids, because we're using me having a glass of wine as an opportunity to have a conversation, and I think that's a really good thing. I ask my kids things like, what do you know about alcohol? What do your friends say about alcohol? Do you understand the risks of drinking too much alcohol? And we've had some really good conversations. And I'm lucky in a way, my kids verbalize everything they're thinking. They call me on everything I do wrong, which is the special privilege of being a mom, I guess. But if you don't address the fact that you're having a drink, it might be the elephant in the room for your kids. They may be hesitant to mention it to you. So I would just be mindful of that. And ultimately, if you don't teach your kids about booze and responsible consumption of alcohol, someone else will. And I would prefer, as a parent, that those messages come from me. You can find links to each of my blogs below, and please be sure to leave us a comment and tell us how this issue affects you. Let us know what you think about #WineMom, and if you are changing your habits as a result of this conversation.